Good afternoon, everybody. Uneducated Economist here. So there was some more mill closures taking place up in British Columbia area. This time, I believe it was the Sinclair. I think Sinclair was the name of the company. Anyway, I'll leave a link down in the description for you guys. And, you know, it's almost becoming like a commonplace up there as far as these mill closures go. And for a lot of you who follow me on this channel, you know that I follow building supplies as kind of an indicator of where we are in the new construction market. Half-inch CDX and 2x4s are my two favorite retail items to follow as far as their pricing goes, being the two main components as far as building a house. The CDX being the skin on the outside of the skeleton, which is 2x4s. So generally 2x4s and half-inch CDX really show as a good indicator of where we are in the new construction market. Now, if you go and you look at mill closures that have been taking place up at the British Columbia area, and you look at a lot of the reasonings that's going on behind it, a good fair amount of it has to do with the lumber prices being as low as they are, and then expensive logs as well. So not only is the timber to cut getting expensive, but the amount that they're getting for the manufactured product once they are done is dwindling. A big amount of this dwindling in purchasing from Canada out of the United States, going, you know, like Americans were buying a lot of Canadian lumber, excuse me, has to do with tariffs. So China quit buying a lot of lumber forestry products from the United States, and in turn the United States stopped buying a lot of it from Canada. And now Canadian mills are kind of getting hit with this double whammy. Not only is the forest products inside of their state or their country, their area, the British Columbia area, not only is the timber, like the logs themselves, getting more expensive, but the amount that they can cut, or allowed to cut, has dwindled. See, what happened was that they had this beetle up there, this bug, right? And it was killing all these trees up there. And the government went in there and said, hey, we're going to up the quota, essentially, on the amount of logs that you can cut to kind of clear out, kind of salvage mode, in order to clear out the dead trees that these beetles had killed off and salvage the lumber from it. So they like kind of upped the quota. Well, now that that has passed and the quotas are going back to normal, these mills are not nearly cutting, or not cutting nearly as many trees down, and it's making a huge difference. Now, if you come here to the United States, a big demand of this lumber coming out of Canada was due to a booming new construction market that was taking place here in the United States. And if you go and you look for news about a slowdown in the new construction market, you can't really find any. There's no really anybody talking about like this new construction slowdown. They talk about the amount of money going into construction, but that doesn't really show how many houses are getting built. That just shows how much money you're spending going into the housing market. So if you go to the Federal Reserve chart, the Fred chart, and you look at the new residential building permits issued by building permits, and you're going to see that that peaked out back in March of 2018. Not too long before I got the video, before I put that video out, housing market is done, in which I described that we have had a slowdown in the housing market, and I could feel it. I knew it right after that March 2018. It was almost as if somebody had flipped a switch. That month goes by and I think, man, this thing has really slowed down, and I noticed the slowdown taking place. And that's when I put that video out there. You can go and find it. It's called Housing Market is Done. And then if you go and you look at this chart, it peaked out in March of 2018, and it has dropped dramatically since then. We haven't seen this, let's see, on the run up, I believe it was back in, I think it was around September of 2017, that we saw the amount of building permits that were being issued at the level that we are now. So it was it was almost a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that we saw building permits at this level before they peaked out back in March of 2018. Now, the previous peak in building permits back in 2015, or not 2015, sorry, 2005. It was way back in 2005, 14 years ago, that building permits had peaked out, and they were almost double what they peaked out in 2018. So there was a dramatic rise in building permits back in 2005, far more than there is today. So yeah, there was a huge slowdown in the housing construction market. Even after this run-up since the Great Recession, we still didn't even come close to what we've done in previous markets as far as the peak in building permits. So now that we're on the downturn and has been going down pretty steadily since March of 2018, we're going to see where we go. So mill closures have been taking place. Obvious slowdown with the new construction market if you go and you look at the new permits being issued. Yeah, there's a slowdown taking place. You know, the half-inch CDX and 2x4s, they have ticked up a little bit in price, but that was to be expected considering that we're in the middle of the building season. But even just recently, as of last week, we had a mill closure here just locally in my area. Plywood mill announced that they were going to be shutting down production, 90 employees producing a lot of plywood. So this is happening, guys. I mean, this new construction slowdown is definitely taking place regardless of what you hear on the news. Just look at the mills, look at the building permits, and yeah, and you'll kind of see it there. Keep an eye on them 2x4s and half-inch CDX plywood prices. Those are going to be another key indicator. So if we see 2x4s dropping even after all these mill closures have taken place, yeah, you're going to know that there is a slowdown in the new construction market for these building materials. So anyway, before I let you guys go, I wanted to let you know I'm going to try my hand at some writing. So I'm going to start doing some blogging. I have an account on Blogger under the Uneducated Economist. I'll leave a link for you down in the description. Yeah, I forgot what the link name is. I think it's Unedcon at Blogspot. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll leave a link down in the description for you guys. And if you go over there and you check out some of the writings I do, please leave some comments and help me get the algorithm going on those blogs. That way, you know, we can kind of spread the word another way. And it'll give me something else to kind of wrap my head around as far as, you know, my thoughts as far as the economy goes. So anyway, really appreciate it if you guys do that. Uneducated Economist, you guys let me know.